talking about. You might have thought that looking at some of the metaphysical views that we looked at, like philosophies of mind, was a waste of time or something. But what I hope to impress upon you is that your views about these very basic metaphysical things, what this is made of, what this is made of, and what's going on in here, these basic views are going to influence all of your other views. For example, if you have a materialist philosophy of mind, you think it's all just physical stuff. It's matter and biochemical reactions. That's going to have a certain influence on whether or not you think free will exists, and therefore on whether or not you think anybody can be held morally responsible for something. In the same way, these kinds of views are going to influence your understanding and your feelings of death. Now, we kind of had a few answers a little bit earlier. If you have maybe a dualist view or an idealist view, you think that there's a distinction between the mind and the brain, or the soul and the brain. What might that lead you to think? Well, maybe death isn't the end. Maybe there's some kind of afterlife, right? Like a heaven where our soul is going to go to. Or if we're unlucky, a hell that our soul is going to go to, right? If we didn't live right or have the proper beliefs, live the proper life. Similarly, if you hold a kind of materialist view, that might lead you to think something like, well, no, there is no afterlife. There's no spiritual, immaterial place that our minds are going to go to. Our minds are just our brains, okay? It's just chemical reactions following the laws of nature. So, what is death? Well, it's basically the end. It's when everything is going to come to an end for us. Our body stops functioning, and therefore there's no activity going on in the mind anymore. It's just lights out. We can see here how these basic metaphysical views are going to inform how we think about death, how we think about life, what we think is right, and all kinds of things. These views lead to a bunch of different questions, though. For example, if you are Christian, you probably have some sort of dualistic view of yourself. You think your soul and your body are different things. They're made of different things, right? They have some sort of relationship, but you can't reduce the soul or the mind to the brain. Well, this might lead you to wonder, what is the afterlife like? And these kinds of dualistic views and religious views are going to make different claims about this, right? There's a heaven maybe, or there's a purgatory maybe, or we're all just going to become one with the universal God of nature or something. You might wonder, where are we going to go if there is such an afterlife? If you're a Christian, you might be particularly worried about this, right? You might be worried about this even if you don't identify as a Christian because you live in a Christian culture. Am I actually going to be able to go to heaven when I die? Or am I bound for the bad place where there's going to be eternal suffering and pain? But you're going to have kind of different questions and different responses to the problem of death if you hold a different kind of metaphysical view. For example, if you think that minds can just emerge from certain arrangements of matter, what might you think? maybe I'll be able to upload my mind into a computer and survive that way. Maybe I never have to face death. In fact, there are people who are doing research on this right now. They believe this is something that's possible for us. So they're trying to figure out how minds can exist on or in computer substrates, technical substrates. Or maybe you want to take the old-fashioned way out. Maybe you might ask, maybe my body can be frozen before I die, and I can be woken up in the future once we've solved this problem of death and aging. And I'll never have to worry about actually dying. I'm just going to wait until we reach a point in the future where our technology is so good that I can just live forever and then die when I want to. The general point is this. How you feel about death, what you think about death, is going to be influenced by what you think death is. Now, we've gotten a few answers to this question already, right? One answer was, well, death is just the death of the body. That's what we mean when we talk about death. My soul is going to go on living, or my mind is going to go on living, right? I'm actually going to be able to, go to heaven if I live right. That's what's going to happen after my body dies. And some think, well, no, it's just the end of everything for us. Like, it's lights out, our consciousness is done. The only experience we can liken it to is eternal darkness in which nothing happens. Now, if you hold this view, you're not actually going to be experiencing that darkness, right? You're just going to be gone. But we've gotten a few indications of what you all think about death. Some of y'all think death is a bad thing. It's terrible. Raise your hand if you have this view. Death is a bad thing. You'd rather not. Like if I said you're going to die today, would you say, I'd rather not? Why?
Because there's almost like uncertainty with what happens next. So it raises like anxiety, like what next? 'Cause
What
I feel
next?
Like our mind can't cope with that.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it is precisely your uncertainty about the afterlife and whether there is one that leads you to be afraid of death. What do the rest of y'all think? Death is bad. If you think death is bad, why?
Well, it gives up all the possibilities of your life, the rest of your life, what it could have been.
Why is that a bad thing?
Personally, it's a bad thing because I would want the things that I could do to happen, but outside of me, it doesn't matter as much, I guess. I'm not as invested in other people's desires.
Yeah, I don't think any of us are. And to the same degree we're invested in our own, you might say. But yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do while you're alive, right? What are some good things about being alive? What are those possibilities that you want to actualize?
You get to eat good food. Oh, possibilities of my full life, or just doing things throughout the day.
What would you be upset about if you wouldn't be able to do anymore because you died?
Smelling everything, Your surroundings, getting up in the morning.
Well, getting up in the morning, I think some people would be happy to stop with that, but
True.
you like it.
Just
Okay.
overall experiences, everything throughout life. You think about like even the little things, you'll start missing them when they're gone. But you can't miss them when you're gone.
Right. You won't have any access to them. Right? No potential. What are you going to miss if y'all die? We got smelling, eating good food.
Others.
Others? What do you mean by that?
Other people.
You like talking to other people?
Ideally.
Hanging out with other people?
Mm-hmm.
Like your family members? Your friends? Do they bring you some kind of joy? Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Pleasure? Okay, so friends and family. Why else might death be bad? Because it deprives us of what? Yeah?
Life.
Yeah? Do you think life is just intrinsically good? Or there's some value, there's some intrinsic value to life?
It's better than death because it's like a final solution.
Okay.
It's like a real solution.
Yeah, I mean, you might think there's some just intrinsic value to life because, yeah, it affords us the possibility to do things. Like if we're dead, there's no potential for us to do anything, right? It's just, we're done. Okay, so eating food, good smells, the little things in life, friends and family members. What else would death deprive you of? Think about you personally. Yeah. You're fulfilling your goals or purpose. Yeah, like what kind of goals do you have?
By maybe getting a job or like a degree or just like impacting society in like a good way.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe you want to make a difference. You know, you want to help people out. Bring people joy. Yeah, you can't do that, presumably, if, you know, death is just the end. You're done. Yeah, what else? I'll help you out. You know what I would miss? Petting my cat. I love that little fucker, even though she's annoying. But she brings me so much joy. I wouldn't be able to just hang out with my cat anymore. You know? Do y'all have pets that you would miss too? A dog? A lizard? I don't know. What do y'all have? A chinchilla? What else? What would death deprive you of? Yeah.
I wouldn't have any of my memories. I wouldn't be able to reminisce on anything.
Oh, okay, yeah. So as long as you're alive, you can kind of think about the good things that have happened to you, right? Reflect on those good experiences. Yeah, sure. Yeah, one of the reasons why we might think death is terrible is because it deprives us of all these good things. We wouldn't be able to hang out with our friends anymore or come to philosophy class, which is riveting and just enriches your life, right? On the other hand, you might fear death. You might think death is a bad thing because you are worried about this and you're like, I might not be going to the good place, right? There's some kind of uncertainty there, or you might be worried about this. Okay, so that's one response to death. How else might you feel about death? You can be afraid of it and think it is bad. How else might you view it? Yeah?
Some people might worship it. They might think that death is probably like even greater than actually being alive.
Say more about that. Why would they say that?
Maybe they're under like maybe they think like I didn't choose to be born into this world of my own free will, so I just don't want to be here anymore. Like God, you can have my ticket back.
Yeah, some people seem to think that death is a blessing. Yeah.
Some people see it as peace. There's nothing.
Yeah.
You're sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah, so why? That's kind of one reason why someone might view it as a blessing, right? It brings a certain peace. Why else might people view it as a blessing?
I think of like a historical context, like with the Mayans, in which they believed that death had some kind of intrinsic value, right? Life had some kind of intrinsic value, and so giving a death to some kind of godly entity was for good fortune.
Okay. Yeah.
It can also be thought of as like a good evil, like people on hospice are like really suffering, their organs don't work at all, or late stage cancer, things like that.
Yeah. Do y'all suffer in your life? Have you ever thought, it would be really nice if I could just take a break from all of this? From all of the pain, all of the disappointment, all of the suffering I have to go through? Presumably there are people who take their own lives because they want an end to what they're going through, right? And there are those who are dealing with terminal illnesses, who are in great suffering. And they don't want to go through that anymore. They don't want to bring pain and suffering to their family members. They don't want to lie in a hospital bed, just not truly living, just suffering. You might think, death is actually a really good thing. Because it puts a stop to all these bad things that we're experiencing in our lives. We don't have to go through that anymore. We don't have to be woefully depressed. We don't have to be constantly let down by others. So, as an end to suffering, yeah, you might think death is actually a good thing. It puts an end to our troubles, right? You don't have to worry about grades anymore. You don't have to worry about disappointing your parents anymore. You don't have to worry about, the person you are always liking, never liking you back, and you're just alone in whatever it is, right? Any other reasons you can think of why death might be seen as a blessing, a good thing? Yeah, Angel.
Not for the blessing, but I feel like another way people could feel about death is just indifference. Like in the same way some people feel that like nature is indifferent to whether you live or die. Do you see it as like part of the process?
That is another view, right? A certain kind of apathy about death, thinking of it as maybe not good or bad. There are a bunch of different philosophers throughout history who have provided us with thoughts on death and arguments about why we shouldn't fear death, why we shouldn't see it as a bad thing or a good thing. One of them is from Epicurus. His argument goes like this. There was a bunch of time before you existed. How many millions, billions of years were you not around? And then you popped into existence, right? In the 21st century. Well, we don't fear the time before we were born, our non-existence before we were born, right? So, how is it rational to fear the non-existence after we're gone? What do you think about this? Is this a good argument? Are you convinced? Yeah, it's not rational to fear my non-existence, after I've lived my life. What do you make of this argument? Yeah.
I think it discredits the speciality of life. It's so far that we know, we're the only signs of life that we've seen. So it's
Okay.
if we focus on how we haven't existed forever, well, not forever, for a long time before this, it kind of could lead to some people not having as much ambition as they normally would have, or a drive.
Okay, yeah, so there might be utility in having a kind of asymmetry in our minds about how we think of the time before we were born versus how we think of the time after we're dead. There seems to be this asymmetry in each one of us, right? We don't want to think about the time after we're gone and us not being here. But we don't give a thought to the time before we were here, right? You might think that's irrational, that we have different attitudes about that. So do you think it's irrational or no? Is it irrational to fear death?
I think it's extremely rational, because just thinking about it from a survival aspect, if you don't fear death, you're going to die very soon, because you're going to do something that can lead to your death. So in nature, everything has to fear death to live and make more life, because if you don't fear death, you're going to meet it very quickly.
Okay, yeah, so you might think, no, it is rational to fear death, and it's that fear that is responsible for us going on and the species surviving and us getting stuff done, right? If humans didn't have a fear of death, would we have come up with all this awesome stuff? I don't know, that's something you might think about, right? If we didn't have that prime motivator. Yeah?
I think we fear the unknown of death more than death specifically. We just fear unknowns in general, and that's what helps keep us alive for a long time. You didn't go around when you're in the middle of the forest at a campfire, going in the middle of the forest, or going out when you hear animals moving around. You fear what's around you, what you don't know.
So you think it's not so much the death that we fear, but it's the uncertainty.
Yeah.
It's the unknown.
That's where we get a lot of anxiety from. You have a speech you got to give. You don't know how it's going to go. You don't know if you're going to do well. You didn't prepare as much. That unknown is going to give you a whole lot more anxiety.
Yeah, we might ask, what are we actually afraid of? Is it just the unknown or the uncertainty? Do you think that's what's going on when we think about death? We're afraid because we're I don't know what's going to happen, and that freaks me out. Does anybody here feel that way? You're yeah, that's why I'm afraid, because I don't know what's going to happen, and it freaks me out. Yeah? Something else you might think is, maybe it's not so much the death that we fear, but it's the pain that goes along with it? What do you think? When you think about death and this fear swells up within you, is it because you're actually afraid of not existing? Or is it because you're afraid you're going to go out in a bad way and it's going to suck? What do you think?
Honestly, say there's a little bit of both, but honestly, I think a lot more people are more scared of the unknown than just the pain, because the pain's only for a little bit, and then it's over. And then you don't know, obviously, what's after, so it's like, why does the pain even matter in the first place?
Well, hopefully. I mean, but there are people all around the world that have been dealing with tremendous suffering at the end of their lives for a long time, right? Is it death you fear, or is it getting cancer and being in pain for the last 5 years of your life, being confined to a hospital bed? Or maybe you fear both of those things. What do you think? I mean, I don't want to go through that. I wouldn't say I'm like that afraid of it, but yeah.
So do you think people should have like the right to die if they're going through that suffering?
That's a good question. What do y'all think? Should we legalize practices like euthanasia and assisted suicide? Somebody's really suffering at the end of their life?
I think that when you're that deep into suffering, like terminal illnesses and things like that, that's one of the last few dignities you're spared.
Okay.
Being able to control that, because at that point, I view it more as the disease is what's leading you to death. And you deserve to have some sort of dignity, some sort of feeling of power over that disease that's completely belittled your life and probably destroyed it in many ways.
You might, construct an argument like, we should allow these practices in hospitals in certain cases, because actually allowing them to decide when they want to die is the only thing that would give them that dignity, or allow them to have that dignity. It might be undignified for them to live in the way that they are, suffering and not being able to do anything about it. Yeah, maybe. I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong. But yeah, that's an argument that comes up a lot. You know what I'm afraid of? Losing my mind. I would say I'm more afraid of that than death. Is anybody in a similar boat? Are you worried you're going to get dementia someday and lose yourself because you saw both of your grandparents go through it? It's worth reflecting on this. What exactly are you afraid of? Is it the death, or is it something you think that is going to go along with the death? Something that is going to accompany it? Okay, now that we've talked about the sad stuff, let me try to provide you an argument that you shouldn't fear death at all. You want to hear it? Here, let's write it over here. This is going to be under the death is not good or bad section. What is death? Well, typically how we think of it is it's something like the end of consciousness, the end of perception. It's just, it's done. No more feeling, no more seeing, no more thinking, right? Lights out. That's what death is. But notice something. If death is that moment, that experience at which your perception ends, your feeling ends, your thinking ends, that's something that we're never actually going to experience. We will not experience the moment of our death. So, death is nothing to fear. Why? We're never going to experience it. What do you think about this argument? You're never actually going to experience your own death. So why are you afraid of it? We're only afraid of things that can happen to us, right? You're afraid of being hit by a car. You're afraid of your girlfriend dumping you, right? You're afraid of your mom slapping you across the face when you do something stupid. You're never actually going to experience the moment of your death. So, what sense is there to be afraid of it? Yeah.
Maybe it's more of the idea of like being forgotten about because life is still moving. Maybe the concept of yourself is like, I don't know. Maybe like the thought of being forgotten is more stressful.
Yeah, maybe you might think, it's not so much death that I'm afraid of, but it's like, I don't know, never being remembered, not leaving behind a legacy. There will be no mark to prove that I was here. Yeah? Are you convinced then by this argument?
Not really.
Okay. Why not?
Because I feel like it leaves out so many factors. Because it's just taking in like the physical portion of it. Like maybe like your consciousness won't be there, so you won't really be experiencing it. But there's still so many factors while you're living that you consider.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe you think, yeah, all right, maybe I'll accept 1 and 2, but like there's a bunch of things that go into, like, there's dying. Like, I don't want to experience dying. Maybe, yeah? Or what's going to happen to you after you die. What do the rest of y'all think? Yeah, man.
I'm more worried about like how it's gonna affect my family, like the people around me.
Okay. So how would it affect them?
Like make them sad, hopefully.
Right? You don't want to make them sad, right? But at the same time, you're like, man, I really hope people are sad after I die. You know? Okay, yeah, you don't want to bring them pain or suffering. Yeah. Are you convinced by this argument, though?
But there's nothing to fear. No, I'm not.
Because you're not going to experience it. You're not going to experience your own death.
I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Maybe you think there's some kind of trick being played here? Like a trick of language? I don't know. Yeah?
I almost see like maybe death could be used as like a motivation because like life is short and you have limited time, so like make the most of your life.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe you might think death, there's a part of death that's good for that reason, right? It provides us with motivation or meaning. You don't want to go through it right now, but you see, of how when you look at it a certain way, it's like, yeah, would my life mean anything if it never is going to end? Maybe you might think, what makes my experiences special? What makes them valuable? What makes these memories good is I am going to die. Yeah? Is anybody not convinced by this argument? If you have like a strong, I don't like that.
That's like the whole argument, but just the number two. I think that people do experience like exactly when they die, because like I know it's like portrayed as like someone's like on their deathbed and then like slowly like their arm falls. I feel like you do end up actually experiencing when you die.
Well, I guess maybe you're defining death then in a different kind of way than one defines it, right? Premise one. Because if death is like the end of all feeling, the end of all perception, the end of all thought, it doesn't seem like, in principle, it is something we can experience. But you might say, okay, maybe I don't experience the moment my lights go out, but I do experience dying, right? And like I know it's coming, and like I'm freaking out, and I know I'm going to leave all my friends and family members behind, and I don't know what's going to happen. So there's still all that to deal with, right? This is a very not controversial, but touchy subject, right? We know death is going to come for us all. It's going to happen to each and every one of us, and we have no idea when. Each of us probably thinks we have a lot of time left. And we might find conversations like these scary, right? We don't want to think about these things. But I would encourage you to put a little bit of thought into it. Even if it's uncomfortable. If you're lucky enough to live a long time and to know that it's coming, think about how you would want it to end. Do you want to be alone, or do you want to be surrounded by people that you love? Do you want it to be completely quiet, or do you want there to be some kind of music playing? What kind of music? Do you want it to be outside? Do you want it to be inside? These kinds of reflections, if you do have a fear of death, might help you, work through that a little bit. They might provide you some comfort. All right. Is there anything anybody else wants to say about death, or are you ready to move on? You're like, let's stop talking about this. Okay, let's move on. Let's stop talking about this sad stuff. We know we're going to die, but we're all alive right now, right? We're in this room, we're breathing, we're probably a little sleepy. So how are we going to do that? How are we going to live our lives while we have it? Take 2 minutes, talk to the people around you, try to answer this question. What is the right way to live your life? How are you going to live your life so that you are fulfilled and happy? Okay, go ahead.
that's not the point of your life.
Okay. What do y'all think? What's going to make your life fulfilling, happy? What are you going to do? How do you think we should live?
Having fun.
Having fun. So like seeking out pleasure? Like pleasurable experiences?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, let's call that one hedonism. We should live to pursue pleasure, or maybe you want to call it happiness. It's all about having fun. Is that what gives life meaning to you? Like, good experiences, like hanging out with your bros. Like,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but at the same time, I also want to like achieve stuff in my life at the same time.
okay. Yeah, you want to, meet your goals.
Yeah, I don't want to be like poor, or, like stuff like that. I want like money
Yeah, why do you want money?
to live comfortably. So it makes
Me too.
Being happy easier.
Yeah. So more things are within your reach, right? If you had the amount of money that Elon Musk has,
I want to be here.
man, neither would I. No, I'd still be teaching, but I wouldn't be nearly as constrained by all my bills and debt, Okay, yeah, so maybe you think, well, how should we live? What gives life meaning? It's like pleasure. It's like happiness. What do the rest of y'all think? How would you live? What gives your life meaning?
Maybe making like other people happy. Maybe you found like your life's purpose is like, oh, I want others to be happy, so that's what you kind of strive for, and maybe that's your own purpose, your own meaning for your life.
Do you think there is an objective purpose or meaning to our lives?
No, I think it's all subjective. I think it's all dependent on the person. I used an example earlier. Like I could want to live in like a mansion, like I live like a great life, and at the end of my life, I'm like, okay, I lived a good life. But then someone else could like also live a way different. They could actually be maybe they're even richer than you, or they were more fortunate, but they still have just as much fun. They achieved just as much, and then at the end of their life, they're also like, I also feel like I did what I was meant to be. Like, sorry.
Because you figured out what was meaningful to you,
Yeah, if
and you pursued that.
Yeah, as long as you pursue that, and at the end you're like, I did good.
Yeah, let's call this atheistic existentialism in the vein of Jean-Paul Sartre. What does he say? Well, he says, there is no God that created us, that infused us with a certain meaning or purpose. No. But that doesn't mean that we have to be unhappy and wallow in misery and sadness. Rather, what it means is that even though there is no objective meaning or purpose to our lives, we can still find happiness and fulfillment if we construct our own meaning or our own purpose. if we live authentically with respect to our desires, our goals. We can use our freedom or our free will to create our own meaning or purpose. Maybe your meaning or purpose you've decided is to help others. Or maybe it is, to become the hottest new best-selling romantasy author. You really just like books like The Fourth Wing, and I don't know, I can't think of any more right now, but there's one with fairies, right? I can't remember the name of that one. What do you think about this view? Is this what you think? Is this how you live? I'm seeing a lot of smiles, but what does that mean? Yeah.
The way I see it is that's kind of saying like the meaning of life is to live and to like find your own meaning, and I feel like that is something people can take solace in because ultimately meaning has to be relative to every person. And so just saying that the meaning is what you find it in means that someone can be content, whereas if they tell themselves there's an ultimate meaning, they're going to spend their life looking and not living.
Okay. Yes, you kind of agree with this. You don't think there's like an objective meaning or purpose? Like you weren't designed or created with a path that you were supposed to walk, a purpose that you're supposed to do? Yeah.
No, I think it's all relative.
Okay. Yeah, so you find this view attractive. It gives you a kind of path for a meaningful and fulfilled life.
I think to sum up the entirety of existence and the universe and all life around us to one singular point and meaning, I think that render it quite bland and sad. I think the fact that life is such an open book to do whatever you want with it is the beauty of it.
Okay, so you also agree with part of this view?
Yeah. I think that an objective meaning to life would take out a lot of the rest of the meaning and goodness all around us. I don't know, I'm not explaining it the best, but...
No, I hear you. Yeah, you might think, what makes something meaningful and fulfilling to me is like, because I infused it with that. It's because it's in line with what I want, what I'm trying to do. And that means something to me, It doesn't have to mean anything to you or you, but yeah, a lot of people find this view attractive. A lot of people find it, I don't know, barren in a particular way. Some people think, I want there to be an objective purpose to my life, right? Like a reason that I'm here. A lot of people don't find this convincing. For example, Soren Kierkegaard. While he writes on a lot of the same themes as Nietzsche and Sartre and Camus, because they're all in this existentialist tradition, he has a different belief about these things. He thinks there is an objective meaning or purpose to our lives. That was given to us by God. He believes that God exists. So we should live as God wants us to, growing in relationship to Him. That's what it's about. That's what's going to give meaning and purpose to our lives. Building a relationship with God and following His will for our lives. What do you think of this view? Maybe you just disagree with it. What do you think? Or replace God with ancient aliens or the creators of the simulation. Like, you were created to play a particular role, have a certain purpose. Doesn't that make you feel good? Like, doesn't that make your life meaningful?
Like, my only problem with it, like, even if it is true, is like, how would you, like, is there a way to like identify the meaning?
That's a hard question, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know what Kierkegaard would probably say? It's not something we can reason out. It's not something we can know with certainty. What we ought to do is reckon with our situation and take the leap of faith.
Well, that's almost like the first part.
He thinks the leap of faith, that God exists, that God is watching over us, that it's going to be all right.
It's comforting to believe in it.
Yeah, faith might bring you a lot of comfort, right? Yeah, Angel.
I feel like it just removes your agency in deciding your meaning of life. It can help with people who can't find like happiness in what they might find their meaning of life to be. So if they can put it in like some abstract ultimate's hands, then they don't need to worry about it because it's been decided, and so it's out of their hands, and so there's no point in fighting it or trying to better it. But I feel like it's just about who holds the agency in those two situations. And I feel like if you put it in the hands of something you can't understand, then you're almost saying there is no meaning. Because if it was just given to you, then it doesn't. I don't know.
I see what you're saying, yeah. I mean, maybe you think this kind of theistic view is like, there's something about it, like if you follow it, you're betraying yourself in a kind of way.
Yeah.
Like you're just latching on to, I don't know, some idea, some purpose or meaning that you think was given to you. You're not actually using your freedom to live authentically, to create your own life, to construct it. Yeah. Well, how about this view? Does anybody find life absurd? Like sometimes things just happen to you, you just can't help but laugh because you're like, what the hell is going on? Like, why did this happen? What? Oh, what? You just kind of throw your hands up. Well, absurdism provides us with one philosophy of life, one path forward. And what it tells us is that we're all searching for meaning. We want there to be a meaning or a purpose. But in actuality, we live in this meaningless, irrational universe. There is no objective meaning or purpose to be found. So, we should kind of just take all the ridiculous stuff that happens to us, and our pain and our suffering and our happiness, and take it in stride and rebel against the absurdity that is our situation. It's all about recognizing the absurdity of this universe that we live in, the absurdity of our search for meaning in an irrational, meaningless universe, and just kind of like accepting that and rolling with it. We can't avoid trying to find meaning, trying to, live a fulfilled life, but we're not here for a reason, okay? Our existence is a cosmic accident, and it's just absurd and kind of ridiculous. So we laugh and we rebel against this weird situation we've just been thrown into. What do you think about this?
How do you rebel? Like, is it just like living? Is that what the rebelling means?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when life knocks you down, you're like, fuck you. Like, I'm getting back up. I'm doing what I want to do. You're not going to tear me down. Stupid ass life. Yeah.
Very mutually exclusive with atheist existentialism. You could feel that authentically is the middle finger to the universe.
Yeah, you
something that he
could.
believes.
Yeah, there are ways in which both of these views are similar. I'm not an expert on this, but the way that I would cash out their difference is like Sartrean atheistic existentialism would say, like, it's kind of all about living authentically. Whereas absurdism, which Camus argued for, he'd say, like, whatever, don't worry about it. Like, it's all absurd anyway. Like, but you don't have to wallow and be a sad sack. Anybody find this view attractive? Okay, well, how about this one? There is no meaning or purpose. You're not here for a reason. Your existence is a cosmic accident. So, what should you do? How should you live your life? Well, nothing really has any objective meaning or value, so I don't know, do whatever. Maybe be sad. Nothing is objectively valuable or meaningful. Yeah, it kind of sucks because we want it to be otherwise, but none of it matters. None of it really matters. You don't matter, I don't matter. This thing, it doesn't matter, whatever. What do you think about this view? Yeah.
I think it's a little bit of like a dangerous view to have because how does like morality come into play? How do you function in society? Or do you do whatever? Do you just kill someone because you want to do it? Because there's no more.
I mean, there's nothing ultimately wrong with that. But like, it's kind of a hassle, right? Like, I don't want to have to go to prison and deal with that. I'll just do what I'm doing.
Then, like, what are you doing? You're living, I guess, your authentic self because that's how you want to live. So does it kind of tie into the first one?
It's kind of like, I think of it kind of as a depressive view, a little bit, But there are a lot of people who are convinced by this idea that, yeah, there's no objective meaning, value, or purpose. So, I mean, what does it matter at all? You don't have to believe this and be a sad sack. And it is compatible with the other views. But, I don't know, you might just think, oh, what's the point? And just kind of lead with that. Do you find that, I don't know, upsetting or sad or silly?
It's depressing.
You might think it's depressing. I think a lot of nihilists are depressed. Hell, probably half of us in this room are depressed, but that's a different thing. Yeah, you might see it as, doesn't seem like a happy life. Maybe you're tempted by other Western philosophies of life or Eastern philosophies of life. I'm only going to write down a few more because don't have time to write all these. Maybe you've been getting into these new stoic influencers on YouTube and podcast bros who are going to tell you how to live a fulfilling life, which is all about cultivating knowledge and virtue, inner resolve, control over your emotions, self-mastery. But at the same time, like recognizing you can't control what's outside of you, so you learn to accept it, you learn to roll with it. But we should work hard to cultivate the kinds of characters that can weather the storm. We should cultivate control over our emotions so they don't carry us away. But also this thing called amor fati, love of fate. If we work hard, we can actually cultivate a love and an acceptance of what happens to us, even if it sucks. Do you find this entertaining?
Yeah, I feel like you can kind of use it to justify slavery and where you're in like a caste system. I mean, I think that's what Marcus Aurelius did, justifying a lot of people being born into where they are. And
Yeah.
you should cultivate your strong resolve, virtues, but where you are isn't really going to change. You should change within yourself.
Yeah, I mean, can any of us change the social system? You know, there was Marcus Aurelius, who was emperor of the Roman Empire at one time. And then there was another very famous Stoic who was a slave. I believe it was Epictetus. I might be getting the name wrong. It's been a while since I've looked into this. But yeah, he's like, yeah. I mean, what do you do when you find yourself thrown into this complicated world and shit happens sometimes that sucks? I mean, you try to strengthen yourself. You try to roll with the punches and learn to love it. Good or bad? Do we like this view?
Almost absurdism aspect of it.
They wouldn't say it's absurd. They wouldn't say the universe is absurd. Actually, the ancient Stoics thought that the universe was created by a god, and there's a rational order to things. Everything is kind of already predetermined. So you need to learn to love your role in this predetermined dance. Yay or nay? No? Why don't you like it, Angel?
I'm sure kings love when like peasants think this is their kingdom. I can't fight
So they don't revolt or what?
I can't fight this at all. I might as well, keep working the fields. Like,
I just love moldy bread.
Yeah? Or maybe you want to... Maybe you think that we're all kind of stuck in this cycle of suffering and life and reincarnation. And your purpose is either, again, to kind of cultivate a love and acceptance of the path that has been offered to you, or to detach yourself from the mortal concerns of this life so that you can escape this endless cycle of samsara, of suffering and life and death and rebirth and reincarnation. Maybe you want to just recognize that you are a part of this process that is the unfolding of the universe, and it's all just about going with the flow, man. Rolling with the punches. Like a ball in a mountain stream. Some Alan Watts type shit. Or you could be an Epicurean or a Confucian. You could follow any number of these philosophies of life. The point is that they've all offered you a picture of what's going on and how you should live if you want to be fulfilled and happy. This is something that you should really think about. Do you think there's objective meaning and purpose to your life? Do you think God exists? What is the thing you should ultimately be pursuing? Your answers to those questions are going to help you figure out what the hell you're going to do, how you're supposed to be living this thing. Okay, I will upload these teaching notes after class. Anybody have any questions, concerns, comments? All right, I will see you all on Thursday. Make sure you bring a blue book to class and a pen or a pencil. You're allowed to use your notebook notes.
I did not find the sign-in sheet.
Oh, go grab it over there.
Okay.
You guys just all here to sign it? Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah.
How should I prepare for this? I have my notes.
You should reread your notes, see if you can rewrite some of them. But yeah, just think about the questions we've been asking in class, you know. What makes an action moral or immoral?
It's going to be on the entirety of like everything we've learned.
Anything that we've looked at is fair game, but I'm going to give you 3 prompts, and you'll get to choose which one you want to write on.
Oh, sure.
So you're not forced into writing one of them.
Okay, so like the one I know more, I can talk about that one.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Then just pick a side, or you're for that side.
Exactly. That's pretty much what
like,
it's going to
audio
be.
journal, but written.
Yeah.
All right. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
But we just need the blue journal you said.
Yeah. Blue book is it's
Just
called. Yeah.
Whatever. It doesn't matter which one.
No, it can be the big one or the small one. Yeah.
Wait, so where do we get the blue book?
You should find
Yeah, I'm
them
gonna
in the
get it.
bookstore and stuff, the different campus stores that are around.
Because I was looking at
Because I think it's like
online.
75 cents.
Well, I was looking at it online. I couldn't find it online. So
Okay.
that's all I was wondering.